Hello there, I'm MountPain27, and this is Dean of Doom, the show where we give grades to classic and contemporary Doom wads. Why? Because ranking things is fun. Today's episode will be dedicated to Resurgence, a megawad released in 2014 by Josh Seeley, better known to the Doom community as Joshy. It expands on themes that Joshy explored in Surge, a partial megawad released 2 years prior, and emulates Scythe, Plutonia, and Speed of Doom. Its tongue-in-cheek story, in-game sendups of Joshy and Darkwave's 2009 masterpiece, and the return of the Incomparable Stuart Rynn led Resurgence to be considered Speed of Doom's spiritual sequel, despite containing 95% less Darkwave. Don't worry though, he does make a cameo. Having led the Plutonia Revisited Community Project and contributed to high-profile releases like Community Chest 4 and Back to Saturn X Episode 2, the time was right for Joshy's solo career to take off. Resurgence is the work of a mature artist, and it's a shame that Joshy has only released 4 maps since setting his behemoth on the world. Today, I'm here to prove that Joshy didn't just escape Darkwave's shadow with Resurgence, he scaled Doom Mapping's Mount Olympus and took his rightful place with the gods. So here's how the show works. Every map gets 1 grade for quality and 1 for difficulty. Quality grades go from A to F. Grade A levels are fun, memorable, visually distinctive, creative, and a fair challenge. We grade difficulty from X to E. X for extreme, E for easy, A through D in between. Keep in mind, my idea of a great map is probably not the same as yours, but that's okay. Disagreeing is part of the fun, after all. As always, at the end of the day, this show is about spreading the joy of Doom, so let's do so. Before we start, the rules are we play on ultra-violence and must pistol start each level. I need to play the wad twice before reviewing it. Saves are allowed. And we go for 100% kills in all levels, making exceptions when it's just not worth it. I play on Z-Doom with compatibility set to strict, in this case, boom strict. Now, to the wad. Map 1, Awakening. It's not in Joshy's nature to coddle the player. Awakening looks tame compared to the maps it precedes, but this Crimson Hell Cave will smack first-timers upside the head. Imp and zombie snipers patrol the upper decks, while Pinkies, Spectres, and Revenants chase you on foot. Use rockets to disperse them, and punch what you can for practice. Due to its unusually high intensity, I found Resurgence's whole first episode initially very off-putting. Don't know what I was expecting. The megawad starts in hell, for Christ's sake. Grade B+, difficulty C-. Map 2, Hell's Lamentation. Now properly calibrated and thirsting for blood, you can cut through Hell's Lamentation like a hot knife through butter. Joshy wears Scythe 2's influence on his sleeve, and he's more merciless than Eric Alm in early levels, making you punch your way to a shotgun and then fend off Hell Knights, Revenants, Cacodemons, and swarms of teleporting chaff 7 pellets at a time if you don't press on this flickering candle, which unlocks Baby's first chain gun. That's not Joshy's worst secret, believe me. Hell's Lamentation is a good momentum builder. Grade B+, difficulty C. Map 3, Cave of the Lost Souls. With a name like that, I expected more than one delinquent. Oh well. Cave of the Lost Souls will put the screws to unwary players. The action revolves around a single room, where you'll make a precarious descent to the Red Key and then battle a host of snipers and airborne foes on your way out. This cheeky platforming stage, a nod to Paul Corfiatis' Volcana from Whispers of Satan, will punish you for trying to blaze through it. I recommend slowly dispatching the Imps and Hell Knights ahead of you, using rockets to snuff the Macubi and Imps on the lava falls. If you can escape the cave before the big ambush at the end unfurls, you're made in the shade. It took me 3 playthroughs to wring any enjoyment out of this one. Cave of the Lost Souls is a beauty, but she's high maintenance. Grade B, difficulty B+. Map 4, A Fistful of Imps. Swap red for brown and sludge for slime, and a fistful of imps would fit right into Speed of Doom's first episode. This hellish cave dive gets right to brass tacks. You better not miss the rocket launcher in the caves immediately behind you, where this chain gunner posse and the blue key ambush near the end become slogs instead of the popcorn fights they're supposed to be. The first relevant archviles of the megawad appear here. The one leading the red key ambush is an especially welcome surprise. Between salvos of rockets, this map has me pining for a super shotgun. The double-digit revs and Hell Knights are a time sink to dispatch if you want to save explosives. Unrelated, this tiny button that opens a secret archvile in Soul Sphere gets an eye roll from me, and I have trouble picturing how large something would have to be to hold 74 imps in its fist. Grade A-, difficulty B. Map 5, Sinister. One of 3 maps carried over from Surge without major edits, Sinister runs neck and neck with Map 1 for the shortest in the megawad. It's worth noting only for its debut of the Cyber Demon down in this blood sewer, and for its 2 awful torch secrets. You press on this one to open some shotgunners and a pair of backpacks, and you interact with this one to reveal a Revenant, 3 Pinkies, and more backpacks. What the hell was Joshy thinking? I'm all for short, punchy maps, but Sinister's pretty weak. Grade C+, difficulty C. Map 6, Fortress. Fortress starts heated but burns out quick. Defuse the hit scan convention at the start, light up this pack of commandos, and beware the blue key trap, which sneakily flanks you with a pair of arachnotrons while distracting you with imps and skellies. The final hoedown with a pair of archviles and a barn full of imps feels like Skill Saw light. Pounce on the archies and dump the rest of your ammo on the grunts. Overall, a lean but solid map. grade B+, difficulty B-. Map 7? Huh, look at that. Joshy misspelled Gantlet. Significantly friendlier and more fun than Speed of Doom's dead simple replacement, Gauntlet is another hellish outpost overthrow set to composer John Primeval Weekly's best Kevin Schilder impression. I've never actually played Heretic, but enough P-Wads use its music for me to recognize it by ear now. It's tempting to go for the rocket launchers in the central keep before dealing with everything outside, but the fat boys up there are liable to shred you. I prefer to puncture them from afar after chopping down the revenants and imps on the wall tops. Deflating the last Mancubus collapses the cliffside, revealing a spider mastermind, Pinky Army, and the yellow key. After dealing with that, gently nudge this pain elemental away from a skull switch, which will teleport you outside to face one last archvile before quitting time. Gauntlet is sharp and effective. Grade A-, difficulty B. Map 8, Obsidian Hotbed. This aggressive Surge remake accommodates loose playstyles only if you give as good as you get. Nowadays I have kind of a bad habit of just sprinting through levels, hitting switches, and generally stirring up as much as I can without getting overwhelmed. That tactic can backfire in maps like this. The Chain Gunners and Mastermind inflict persistent chip damage, Mancubi and Revenants potshot you from afar, Prowling Archies can catch you unawares, and every switch press and weapon pickup turns on the monster faucet. Inattentive Hammerheads can find themselves swamped and dry on ammo in a hurry. Joshy's latest BS secret can be found in this cave wall, a bacon-saving megasphere and 2 more backpacks. I strongly suggest saving enough cells and/or shells to vanquish the cyber demon guarding the exit. Trying to duck his rockets, a handful of archviles, and stray revenant rockets in the final room is a dance that's not easy to survive. Grade B+, difficulty A-. Map 9, Scorching Savannah. The most fully realized map in Resurgence to this point, Scorching Savannah is actually a back to Saturn X reject. Too short to make the cut, I suspect. Set to a laid-back Stewboy MIDI, Savannah's open spaces and languid ambushes are a dose of Valium compared to last map. Joshy eases back the archvile use and gives you a teammate in the form of this turncoat Spider Mama. You'll have plenty of rockets to comb through the majority population of imps and zombies, and you should have enough cells to fry the map's lone cyber demon, probably the most awkward and dangerous encounter in the map. Note that once you get the blue key, do some platforming, and drop into this pit, you won't be able to go back. Pump rockets into the full court press of Barons and HKs, make like a shepherd, and get the flock out of there. Grade A-, difficulty B. Map 10, The Courtyard. Much more fun than I remembered, the courtyard starts off sedate but culminates in the kind of large-scale splatterfest that Resurgence is known for. It's noticeably prettier than most of Joshy's touched-up older maps, particularly the moments of gentle lighting and the lava-flooded courtyard itself. This lava doesn't hurt you, so don't waste energy trying to stay on the cracks. The hardest part of the map comes when you hit this switch to raise the zigzag bridge. A gush of specters, imps, revenants, and air support will try to smother you in the rocket bunker. I found that it's harder to survive a siege than it is to just run away and clean them up later, but your results may vary with this approach. With the red key in your possession, humiliate the lord of the castle, platform to the exit, and mentally prepare yourself for Hell's Last Stand. Grade B+, difficulty B+. Map 11, Twilight Massacre. Well, here's an oddity, a map 11 that holds its megawad's highest kill count, a whopping 1,795 monsters. As Speed of Doom veterans would expect, Twilight Massacre is a milder redux of Darkwave's legendary Slaughterfest. Oddly enough, I find myself liking this one more than the original for 2 reasons. Number 1, Joshy gives you more ammo for the rocket launcher and doesn't make it a secret, which adds one more dimension to the combat, however fleeting. And number 2, Twilight Massacre's placement in the 11 slot is a jolt of violence so fresh and unexpected that it almost outdoes its inspiration in terms of pure shock value as well. The 2 maps play very similarly. Joshy doesn't abuse pain elementals like Darkwave, nor does he make you fetch as many keys, and while the first Massacre's spectacle is surely more impressive, its sequel is far from disappointing, feeding frothing hordes to the maw of your large, copulating firearm. Joshy expresses some apprehension in the text file about compensating for Darkwave's absence, hoping this map in particular doesn't present as rip-offish, but I think he delivered an entertaining final product, and imitation is the highest form of flattery. Grade A, difficulty B+. Map 12, Homecoming. How kind of the demons to roll out the red carpet for you on your return trip to Earth. A carpet of their own blood and guts. Helped along by a bouncy Stewboy tune, Homecoming sets the pace for my favorite stretch of Resurgence. From here to the middle of episode 3, you'll see a barrage of high-impact, high-quality maps that flex the best of Joshy's non-hardcore combat design. Aesthetically, Resurgence's Earth maps throw back to Saturn X and Speed of Doom's first episodes into a blender, top it with Scythe 2's tech-based episode, and hit puree. I always enjoy the opening crossfire here, which will have you dodging bullets and pulverizing packs of mutants for their weaponry, and I always appreciate being allowed to turn encounters like this base perimeter scrum as crazy as I want to. With better handling, the Cyber Demon can do more heavy lifting for you than he did me, and as long as you're ready for vile retaliation when going for keys and switches, you'll be A-okay. Speaking of which, grade A, difficulty B+. Map 13, Assault. Too often during this show's run have I thanked WAD authors for making short maps and then handed them Bs for their trouble. From now on, I'm going to try to grade maps relative to others of the same size. After all, comparing the 5-minute Assault to Resurgence's late-stage heavy hitters doesn't make a lot of sense. Returning to the subject, Assault is bite-sized but brilliant, kicking off with a mad scramble for guns in a room clogged with pinkies, cacos, and peripheral projectile flingers. Scoot along the waterfall and jump for the red key to initiate a Mancubus lightning round and save some rockets with a pair of pop-up archviles guarding the exit. I've been burned by them before, literally and figuratively. Grade A-, difficulty B. Map 14, Hyper Spelunking. Hyper Spelunking hits like an M80 on a short fuse. As soon as you open that door, chew through the hit scanners and take cover from the Cyber Demon across the way. Carving out some space to breathe is easier said than done, with imps gumming up the work downstairs, meatballs patrolling the airspace, and nasty surprises awaiting you in the few available hidey holes. Survive about 2 minutes of this onslaught, and you should be able to take out the Cyber without being harassed. If he's been a good enough sport with infighting, you should have no trouble disposing of him. If he's being difficult, park yourself at the foot of this hill and smack him with flak. Hyper Spelunking is great stuff, and inspired pacing on Joshy's part. Grade A, difficulty B. Map 15, Nukage Bay. Brutal, claustrophobic, and potentially frustrating, Nukage Bay can only be defused with cautious play or foreknowledge. I can count this level down from 5 to give you an idea what you're looking at. 5 archviles placed inconveniently around dead foes, 4 rad suits, which severely limit your time in the poison drink, 3 pain elementals, which arrive all at once when you lower the yellow key, 2 weapons, other than the ones you get from zombies, just the rocket launcher and SSG, and 1 secret key, which you can get by carefully leaping into this fenced-off poison pit. Even with Berserk at your disposal, the multiplicative effect of the vials and pain elementals can put a lot of strain on your ammo, so I recommend hoarding rockets for special occasions. Nukage Bay is an unkind first playthrough, but bears fruit on replay. Grade B+, difficulty A-. Map 31, Festering Wicked Helix Sectors. There's a lot to talk about with this one. For context, Festering Wicked Helix Sectors originated from a Doomworld Secret Santa project, in which mappers were tasked with imitating somebody else's style. Joshy was paired with Zazer Acheron, and drew on Zazer's maps beneath a festering moon, wicked garden, helix, and sector for inspiration. The result is a cocktail of radical height variation, unorthodox shapes, sizzling archvile usage, and time travel, unified by one of Stu Boy's most enchanting middies. Once you've fought your way through the bloody keep, the map shuttles you into an ominous cave and through a mind-melting portal into the world of tomorrow, where night has fallen and the blood has sunk into the earth. You'll have to seek out the blue key in the abandoned outpost, now haunted by archviles and a vigilant cyber demon. Sapphire skull in hand, the stage is set for some serious pyrotechnics, and Joshy delivers. I'm going to say this 3 times so prospective players will remember. Save cells, save cells, save cells. Once you've beaten back the flood of foes on the spiral staircase and reach the bottom, you need to press 3 switches to open the exit, but doing so will summon archviles all along the helix. This is, without a doubt, the most dangerous part of Resurgence so far. My first time playing this, I got stuck without cells for the final climb, and let me tell you, cutting through flocks of second-hand foes, ducking caco projectiles, and trying to nail 9 or 10 angry archviles with 100 rockets is not something I would wish on my worst enemy. Even with preparation, this stage is no bowl of cherries, and I can't say I'm very fond of it, novel though it is. This is the only map in Resurgence to land a spot on Doomworld's 100 most memorable maps, which seems like a backhand compliment to me. It's Joshy's only solo credit on the list, and he's explicitly copying Zazer's style. For my money, Festering Wicked Helix Sectors surpasses all of its inspirations. Grade A-, difficulty X-. Map 32, Poison Oak. Look who it is. We've seen Joshy do Darkwave, so it's only fair that Resurgence's super secret map is Darkwave's Joshy impression. Sort of. Frankly, I don't think Darkwave is capable of being anybody but himself when it comes to Doom mapping, and that's just fine with me. Poison Oak is a gonzo slaughterfest that uses Speed of Doom's Poison Ivy map as a visual reference. It clocks in at 2,300 monsters, cruising past Twilight Massacre for the highest monster count in the WAD. Not unlike his contributions to French community projects Trois Heures d'Agonie and 180 Minutes pour Vive. Poison Oak is a series of large-scale throwdowns that lean heavily on the rocket launcher and BFG. The latter you can go for early with some daredevil moves and a bit of luck. With Weapon 7 in hand, you've got 3 main fights to deal with. This epic battle in the basin against the Cyber Demon-led pincer attack, this ridiculous uphill battle against a pop-up army, and the RNG heavy finale in the overgrown sanctuary. I imagine saveless attempts of this map would meet with great frustration. Darkwave isn't liberal with health and armor pickups, especially in the last room, where a single misstep or unfavorable infighting will leave you smeared on the wall like cream cheese on an everything bagel. Darkwave has done slightly better work post Speed of Doom, but Poison Oak fits the bill as a super tough, super secret stage and will satisfy fans of his work. Grade A, difficulty X. Map 16, Close Quarters. I confess I'm not wild about this one. Close Quarters lives up to its name from the first, forcing you to bludgeon your way out of a tight intersection while in the crosshairs of several perched Hell Knights, a Baron, and zombie patrols. Give them the slip and you'll still have to finagle around a surprise archvile point blank and 2 lines of sniping chain gunners. The final room is a lot harder without the secret rocket launcher. When you raise the walkways to the 2 keys, another Cyber Demon appears, doubling your risk of instant death and the amount of ammo you'll need to set aside if you want to exit safely. Close Quarters plays a bit rough for its size, and nothing in the visual department really grabs me, but at least it's got a spicy stew boy MIDI going for it. Grade B, difficulty A-. Map 17, Underground Barrage. If you're still fresh from the bloody fields of Poison Oak, Underground Barrage will feel like a day at the beach by comparison. Joshy hands you a megasphere, a full set of weapons, and way too much ammo for them, then floods the sewer system with goons until he thinks you've had enough. With responsible BFG use and a bit of fancy footwork, you can clear this map in under 10 minutes, provided you've got the guts to corridor fight Cyber Demons. It's worth noting Joshy's very rare Crusher usage, and this stew boy MIDI, which would go on to see action in Ancient Aliens. Grade A-, difficulty B. Map 18, Excavation Project, the undisputed centerpiece of Resurgence's second episode and one of Josh Seeley's finest creations. Excavation Project is a stunner. It pays homage to Darkwave's slime bases without compromising Joshy's commanding vision. After all those small maps, Excavation Project's towering ceilings, winding hallways, and massive acreage might feel intimidating, but its magnum opusness feels completely earned. Excavation Project expects patient exploration, even on replay. For the most part, it lacks the frenetic pace of the shorter Earth maps, but it's carpeted with snipers and studded with Cyber Demon encounters to keep you limber. What really ties this running, gunning, rambling experience together is perhaps my favorite Stuart Rynn MIDI in the megawad, a steadfast and quietly hopeful piece that only barely wards off the gloom of your surroundings. I think what I like best about this map is how quickly it makes the time pass, and Joshy deserves all the credit for setting that up, priming the player for an extended campaign after a string of hot-blooded mini-maps. Beautifully scored and masterfully crafted, Excavation Project is always one of the first maps that springs to mind when I think of Resurgence. Grade A, difficulty A-. Map 19, Quadrilateral Rampage. Sounds like an alternate title for Adventures of Square. It's really hard to dislike a map with Drilling by Night for a soundtrack, but Quadrilateral Rampage makes me want to give it a good honest try. Inspired by his experience with Unholy Realms, Joshy took a sandbox approach with this map and dosed it with his special brand of venom. I hate to say it, but every time I've played this level, I've gone from excited to bummed. The hellacious projectile crisscross at the start scoffs at your megasphere, and you've got to run a 5k to whittle down the Macubi guarding the rocket launcher, which is objective number 1. Then it's a matter of minimizing chip damage from Arachnotron plasma, Revenant rockets, chain gunners, respawning Archvile turret, and an acutely irritating Cyber Demon while you fight your way to the switch that lowers the red key. After that, prepare to get slammed with wave after wave of teleporting chain gunners, Revenants, Cacos, and Pain Elementals. This is easily the hardest map in Resurgence's regular roster so far, but it's also the dirtiest and encourages pacifism, which is not my style. Grade B, difficulty A+. Map 20, Waves of Darkness. This map makes me so angry. What begins as a fast-paced, relatively open shoot-'em-up in an interconnected cave compound concludes in the most obnoxious way imaginable. The blue key, which opens the path of the exit, is guarded by 2 Cyber Demons who are flanked by an Archvile and several Revenants standing on crates, and let me tell you, those motherfuckers are crack shots. Joshy seems to know exactly how annoying these Revenants are because he placed some boxes here you can use for cover, but put a zombie man behind them so you can't rocket the revs right away without losing your face. It gives them a free shot at you and potentially forces you to juke back into the Cyber Demon's line of sight. If you manage to weave through this stupid maze without catching a rocket, you've got an angry Archvile and 2 Cyber Demons to deal with, while a gang of Mancubi and Hell Knights add to the Revenant heckling behind you. If you're not in and out of there lickety-split, I guarantee you're going to take damage you're not happy with. By the way, all of this assumes you found the secret Megasphere in BFG already. As much as I appreciate a cleverly hidden super weapon, not giving the player the BFG once they're through the blue door is unconscionable to me, because 2 more Cyber Demons pop up on this walkway, and the odd angle at which they're placed, the lack of escape options, an additional Archvile, not to mention those Revenants pummeling you from afar, make this without a doubt my least favorite room in Resurgence. I'm actually less inclined to blame Joshy himself and the people who let him think this is a good way to end a map, let alone the episode. Grade D+, difficulty X-. Map 21, Ravages of Time. Cradled by Stuart Rynn's Studio Ghibli-esque MIDI and his last Resurgence original, Ravages of Time is the perfect rest stop between episodes 2 and 3. Apparently, Joshy wasn't a big fan of his Map 21 for Speed of Doom. In Resurge.txt, he expresses his desire to create a Tyson map that doesn't involve punching Mancubi, a goal he achieved by not placing any Mancubi in the level. Having been catapulted into the future by a time-spirally vortex thingy, to use the technical term, you find yourself in a long-forgotten version of Map 20's facility, overgrown with verdure and occupied by a whole lot of punchable foes and a few exceptions. Resurgence's 2 custom monsters make their debut here, much to the chagrin of Scythe 2 haters. The Evil Marine is back, and so's the Aphrit, but both units have been significantly depowered. It's not just the base that's been ravaged by time, these Marines run like Doom Guy trying to flee the nursing home. The Aphrit's health has been roughly halved, and he can be peekabooed to death with a secret SSG, or you can go back to where you found the boomstick and take the teleporter again. The Imp and Pinky Pincer is the only fight that can get scary if you don't know what to do. Shove past them and they're fish in a barrel. Grade A-, difficulty D. Map 22, Mount Katoomba. What an event this map is. Mount Katoomba, no relation, captures a rugged natural magnificence that's uncommon in Josh Seeley's body of work. By his own admission, Joshy got out of his comfort zone here, and I'm glad he did, because it resulted in one of the most memorable maps in the set. The impressive view of plasma bolts and fire soaring over the canyon for miles, the explosive ambushes on fiery terrain, and the treacherous descent through caco-infested lava caverns are given the perfect backdrop in the form of Jailbreak, Stu Boy's beloved bonus track for Speed of Doom. I think it's finally found a home in Mount Katoomba. Joshy wastes no time working in his custom monsters now that the tutorial phase is over. The Aphrits in particular will saute players not constantly on the move, but prove excellent allies as infighters. It's hard to miss, but this teleporter nub by the dead end on the cliffside path will let you telefrag the mastermind mounted on high. I'm not a huge fan of these surprise Marines, but memories of Scythe 2 keep my annoyance very much at bay. I love Mount Katoomba. It's grand, exciting, and fun to pronounce. Grade A. Difficulty A-. Map 23, Claret Tides. A plutonic fortress submerged in a lake of poison wine, Claret Tides plays like an amped-up PRCP map, and also pays respect to Alien Vendetta's Crimson Tide. The further you get into Episode 3, the more marooned this map will seem aesthetically, which contributes to it feeling like another project's outtake. On first go-around, it's less than polite. The battle in the Boozy Bay can get ugly if you didn't bring a rad suit or the rocket launcher, and the map's last leg is a real bruiser, hitting you with Mancubi, Chain Gunners and Cacos, long-range Cyber, and a Revenant Archvile 1-2. Claret Tides feels much more measured on replay, and pound for pound, it's less feisty than even some of Episode 1's maps. Also, this is just my opinion, but Within Reach should not be made to cheat on Tough Skin River. Grade B+, difficulty A-. Map 24, Nuclear Winter. Well, this looks familiar. Conceptually one of the strongest maps in the set, Nuclear Winter revisits Speed of Doom's first 5 maps, now frozen and even more lifeless than before. Darkwave's contributions are greatly reduced, but First Blood, Constrained Base, and Cliffside Siege are preserved almost entirely. Ironically, the latter of these is easier than its SOD counterpart, moving the Spider Demon to a less dangerous spot, removing the damaging slime, and nerfing the hit scanner teleport ambushes. I'm a sucker for wintry maps and Speed of Doom in general, so Nuclear Winter grabbed me immediately. But after 3 playthroughs, I have to admit it's a bit flimsy on the action side. If you can weather a beatdown of Revenants at the start, handle the Aphrit encounters with care, avoid getting jumped by these imps in map 3, and save enough ammo to bypass the 3 doormen at the end, the rest is a piece of cake. Almost too much so. At day's end though, Nuclear Winter's lore redeems it, and I love a good trip down memory lane. Grade A-, difficulty B. Map 25, Techno Prison 2. An overclocked remake of Joshy's contribution to Community Chest 4, Techno Prison 2 is the first real real test of Resurgence's third act. Word is the Revenant gang's planning a riot, and they're waiting for Doomguy to start a diversion so they can settle a score with the Cyber Wardens. Cut down the Mancubus and Arachnotron corrections personnel, grab the blue key, and load up on supplies. Those rocket boxes aren't for decoration. When you're ready, kill the force field generator, beat feet for the BFG, and get busy living or get busy dying. It's a Josh Seeley special, this one, an edge-of-your-seat extravaganza that will cost hundreds of demons their parole. After that, the map winds down substantially, tossing a gaggle of one-eyed flyers, a platoon of perched marines, and a flock of Aphrits at you. I think I deserve some kind of Doom journalism award for capturing this footage of Aphrit cyber infighting. There's a single Arachnotron that doesn't seem to want to teleport in, so no 100% kills for me, I guess. I dig this map more every time I play it. Grade A, difficulty A+. Map 26. The Library. Uncommonly absorbing, moody, and immersive, the library delivers white-knuckle thrills in a chilly, introspective environment. Raise your voice in this labyrinth of shelves and you'll awaken at least a dozen archviles who will take your life for a late return fee. I don't recommend taking them on without the rocket launcher, but getting it will rouse the graveyard shift, and fleeing from them in any direction will attract even more attention. You see how it can snowball. Making the climb to the upper decks and then avoiding the crossfire of Imp, Hell Knight, and Revenant librarians, to say nothing of the half-dozen Marines across the way, is no walk in the park, nor is the tense finale, which floods the bottom floor with lava, summons 2 cyber demons, and sicks a brood of Archies on you before the curtain. Pressing the switch by the upper shelves opens the bars, blocking the BFG for a few seconds. You'll need SR-50 to reach it, so good luck. As much as the library is wont to frustrate me, I'm humbled by its quiet, almost dignified air. The small graveyard by the rocket launcher gives new meaning to Stu Boy's Plutonia MIDI, Death's Toll. The library has all the intangibles, and a Doom map that can balance searing, unsympathetic combat with such somber and affecting ambiance is my idea of beautiful. Grade A, difficulty X-. Map 27, where the poison ivies grow wild. Screw the BFG, give me a weed eater. Joshy's 5th and possibly final entry in his Poison Ivy series is a striking departure from Speed of Doom's 23rd map. Unlike that monstrosity, where the poison ivies grow wild sits on a huge plot of land, uses pop-up monsters minimally, and doesn't lock up your weapons as tightly. The two maps are similarly enamored with Cyberdemon and Archvile turrets, but this map's BS factor is significantly lower. So long as you pay heed to your surroundings and make a point of gunning for the rocket launcher and BFG relatively early, Poison Ivy's circuit of suffering shouldn't overwhelm you too much. I do recommend taking out the cyber demons as early as you can. They've got eyes on the entire map and dealt me dozens of dumb deaths in my first 2 playthroughs. Survive the beginning and clear out the snipers, and that's when the real fun starts. This bony bonanza is mindless fun, as is this Aphrit army and Caco Cumulonimbus. The final fight is unimpressive, but interesting, I suppose. The blur sphere Joshy feeds you both helps and hurts against the chain gunners and arachnos. Where the poison ivies grow wild is initially intimidating, but doesn't hold a candle to its Speed of Doom cousin, a map with a 5th of its kill count and tact. Grade A-, difficulty X-. Map 28, Breaking Point. Another gripping slugfest. Breaking Point didn't quite push me to mine. The opening can be survived pretty consistently by going for the rocket launcher, kicking the hornet's nest, and picking off threats while the cybers butcher their minions. There's a BFG in the center of the map which requires either the yellow or blue key to access, so take your pick. Would you rather face a room full of siege cows in a shifting pink maze, or a conflagration of archviles, cybes, mancubi, and chain gunners in an ice cave with just the plasma gun? The latter is one of the deadliest rooms in Resurgence in my opinion, and I find the BFG to be much more effective than infighting and fervent prayers. If you're running low on health, check the wall behind this Marine corpse for Joshy's latest WTF caliber secret. I can't stress enough how easy it is to forget about the BFG in this map. Lacking it can turn manageable fights into death struggles. The most potentially squirrely fight here is this horrifying Aphrit and Archvile combo, which are soon joined by a whole lot of born-again barons. It makes the triple Cyberdemon cage fight at the end look like a joke. If you're not expecting hellfire this late in a Josh Seeley megawad, then I don't know what to tell you. Grade A-, difficulty X-. Map 29, The Quiet Before the Storm. Resurgence's penultimate map is a bit of a curveball, veering away from the slaughter terrain it spent the last 2 maps exploring. The Quiet Before the Storm is a misnomer, however. This time around, it gave me more trouble than Map 28. Joshy harangues you with sniping zombies, spiders, mancubi, archies, and roaming Aphrits, grinding you down with near-constant incidental encounters before going for the kill. Plutonia seems like the main aesthetic inspiration here, taking after realms, flooded tunnels, and stony exteriors, throwing in bits of Aztec here and there for good measure, including Stewboy's Plute MIDI. I think the blue key path gives me the most trouble here, if only because I don't feel like allowing these 6 aphrits to dictate the pace of play. The Quiet Before the Storm is a fine map, but feels a bit undeserving of the 29 slot. It's neither a wind down nor a major challenge. Grade B, difficulty A+. Map 30, Eternal Redemption. After hacking your way through Misery Halek Josh Seeley edition, you emerge into a wasteland apocalypse that quickly devolves into one of the most chaotic battles I've seen on this side of sanity. You've got 20 minutes of rad suit protection, 8 megaspheres, not enough cells, and only 16 medikits to survive what develops into a Category 5 hurricane of revenant missiles, lost souls, arachnoplasma, confused archvile zappage, flying red bulls, and errant cyberdemon rockets. Whew. The Red Key Plateau is crawling with spiders and pain elementals, making it practically impossible to survive up there until infighting concludes. And the Blue Key Plateau subjects you to a sextuplet of archviles and a pair of cybers, then another 3 cybers, then a room full of chain gunners, and then just when you think the day is won, 8 more archviles and a murder of revenants. My first time playing this map ended in defeat. I ran out of cells, megaspheres, and rad suits before I even got to the blue key. Consistent survival in this map seems contingent on non-engagement. Remember, the aphrits are your allies. Recruit them by approaching the red and blue switches, then run like the dickens and stay the hell out of their way. When the screeching masses have finally quieted, use both keys and skip across these platforms to reach the final teleporter, which takes you to Resurgence's boss fight, 10 evil marines in a valley of lava. Brash, unruly, and ultimately disappointing, Eternal Redemption could have been a lot worse if Joshy's testimony is to be believed, but based on what's come before, I think he had the ability, if not the proper motivation, to stick Resurgence's landing. Grade B-, difficulty X. So, Resurgence is a remarkable megawad. It explores an impressive range of visual themes and mapping styles, more than compensating for Darkwave's absence, and secured Josh Seeley a well-deserved place among Doom modding's most respected mappers. Resurgence as a full product is even greater than the sum of its already superior parts. As much as he makes light of his megawad story, Joshy has a knack for pacing and for grand transitions. Doomguy's homecoming and his trip to the future are memorable and organic, and the maps in between never drop the baton. Resurgence sets a fairly high bar for entry skill-wise, but the rewards are great. If you're looking for Speed of Doom 2 or Scythe 3, I strongly suggest you give this megawad a spin. My final grade for Resurgence is an A. Difficulty-wise, Resurgence is indeed tough as nails, so we'll assign it an A+, though I do think it's a skosh more mellow than Speed of Doom. Very ironic, considering Joshy designed Speed of Doom's harder half. Now for my Dean's List. Valedictorian is going to be a tie between Map 18, Excavation Project, and Map 22, Mount Katoomba. Salutatorian, Map 26, The Library, Class President, Map 30, Eternal Redemption, and the dunce cap goes to Map 20, Waves of Darkness. Naturally, Resurgence also earned an honor roll, including the following maps. Map 4, A Fistful of Imps, Map 7, Gauntlet, Map 9, Scorching Savannah, Map 11, Twilight Massacre, Map 12, Homecoming, Map 13, Assault, Map 14, Hyper Spelunking, Map 31, Festering Wicked Helix Sectors, Map 32, Poison Oak, Map 17, Underground Barrage, Map 21, Ravages of Time, Map 24, Nuclear Winter, Map 25, Techno Prison 2, Map 27, Where the Poison Ivies Grow Wild, and Map 28, Breaking Point. Thank you very much for watching. Please feel free to share your thoughts in the wad down below. I'd love to hear what you think, and I'll heart your comments to let you know I've read them. Now, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge my generous patrons. Aaron Allen, Agile Jackson, Agu XYZ, Alec Wehrman, Alex Max, Alex Topfer, Bo Higginbotham, Beatbeard, Ben Barrett, Birdburn, Builder Sith, Bitefire, Kappa Bitch, Captain Wave, Kali Bluefin, Cheese Wheel, Chris Duthat, Chris O'Neill, Christopher Hart, Christophine Place, Cutman Mike, Dan, Dave Davidson, Delirium, Doot Yourself, Dorothy Miller, Eggboy, Ember, Emma Essex, Faithful, Felix Wilson, Francis T218, General Roasterock, Glenn Marmon, Goody, Griffin Upchurch, Hyaksho, In Captivity, Jeff Hibbert, Jeff Sharilla, Jose Ballestero, Josh Ballard, Jude, Just Some Schmuck, Just Great 98, Camille Bernadotte, Killplane, Leon Staten, Logan Lazalda, Lumnal, Mark Rowland, Master Drew 117, Matt G, Matthew Gower, Michael Akins, Mixer, MK 2021, Moko Mothman MM47, Mozicon, Myolden, Nafferty, Neurometry, Knights 108, Number 26, NX Avery, Omnibot, Orion Burke Poole, Painful Hill 72, Pezaveng Jaj, Philip Coffey, Pixel Perfect PT, Pyro She, Quibs, Randy A, Red Doomed Earth, Reese Anderson, Rune, Sean Doherty, Sega Monkey, Sid Menon, Space Clanka, Spinner 8, Stonemason, Stupid Nick, Sunriser, Sylvester Priss, Tarakushino, The Cloptologist, The Dinosaur Heretic, TJG1289, Trilby Trillion, Turbine 2K5, Ultra Cow, YBmo Not a Crab, and William Huber. Thank you all so much for waiting for the new season. I appreciate you all infinitely. This is Mount Pain 27, and I'll see you in the next episode of Dean of Doom.